What's up guys? So today I'm going to be ranking the coasters at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. I just did one for Hersheypark and you guys seem to like the video a lot, so I'm going to do a little mini series of ranking all the coasters at every park that I've been to. So up next we'll be doing Busch Gardens Williamsburg. And I have a little guest with me today. He's been my quarantine buddy for a while and he's having a rough day. He's about to, okay, he's starting to squirm. Okay, just calm down. He's about to shed soon, so he's a little bit tooty, but I'll let him just chill with me while I film today's video. Okay, yeah, I don't think he's gonna want to stay on my lap, so I'll put him back on the, okay, now he's huffing at me now. Okay, over to the table. Alright, onto the coasters. So before I start, I do want to say that there aren't any coasters at Busch Gardens Williamsburg that I don't like. I like them all a lot, but there's some that I like more than others, and this is how I rank them. At the bottom of the list at number 7, which may surprise a lot of people, but it would be Tempesta. So I do like Skyrocket 2 models, and this is a very fun one as well. It's a small footprint, and I love the hang time that you get on the inline twist at the very top. And the lateral ejector air time that you get going down the hills are just awesome. It's a very fun ride overall, so why is it my least favorite at the park? And to be honest, I just don't feel like it's a good fit for the park. It's just something that doesn't quite fit the lineup. They've already got Felbrolton, which is a multi-launching coaster, and I know that's a little bit more of a family ride, and Tempesta is a little bit more of an aggressive thrill ride. But with Pantheon opening up this year, they're going to have 3 multi-launching coasters at the park, and for this rumored 2021 project, they could possibly have a 4th multi-launch coaster. So I just feel like of all the coasters at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, this just doesn't really belong. And the location for this is just weird too. It's just smacked right next to Apollo's Chariot lift hills. Like, there's plenty of other places in the park that there are empty spots where they easily could have fit this ride, but for some reason they just smacked it right next to Apollo's Chariot. Unless there's some kind of love thing going on between Apollo's Chariot and Tempesta. Alright, on to the next one. Number 6 would be Invader. So this coaster fills a gap that Busch Gardens has had for quite a while, which would be a wooden coaster. I mean, it is still more of a family coaster, but for what it is, it's still a pretty fun ride. I mean, you get some okay laterals, there's some pops of airtime. It's nothing crazy, it just is what it is. It's meant to be more of a lower thrill ride. I would like to see sometime in the future that they get a larger and more higher thrill wooden coaster from GCI or maybe from Gravity Group too. The location for this ride is pretty good in New France. They've never really had too many attractions there, so it's a good spot for it. Fun fact, the trains that I used on Invader were actually the trains that were used on Gwazi before it closed down. And then when Gwazi closed down, they repurposed those trains for Invader. Alright, up next at number 5 would be Loch Ness Monster, good old Nessie. So Loch Ness Monster is more of a nostalgic coaster for me. It was one of my first looping coasters, and ever since I was a kid, I've always loved this ride. But judging it as a coaster enthusiast, the ride itself is not really anything too crazy. I mean, it's just a typical janky transition air looper. Loch Ness Monster's like, if you want to make a turn, bang, there you go, you got a turn. Oh, you want to press that hill up there? Bang! Oh, you want to loop? Say no more, fam. I'll give you 2 loops. Oh wait, there's one more hill. Bam! Alright, all jokes aside, I will say that Busch Gardens Williamsburg has done a terrific job maintaining and preserving this ride. I mean, it is Ace Landmark, so they're kind of obligated to keep the ride going, but if they keep doing what they've been doing with the ride, this ride is going to be around for many more years to come. The Helix in the tunnel was actually a pretty fun part. When I was a kid, I was always terrified of this part, and I think at one point they had like a illuminated picture at the end of the tunnel of Loch Ness Monster. Maybe my memory's just dumb as a kid and I'm just imagining that, but I always thought that it was there and then they got rid of it. I don't know. Comment down below if you guys know if that was there or not. So yeah, while Nessie may not be the biggest and baddest air looper out there, I would say it's one of my favorite ones ever, mostly for nostalgic reasons, but it's a great ride and I hope that it's going to be around for many more years to come. Alright, up next at number 4 would be Felbrolton.
We're glad to see you have escaped to the forest.
Okay. That just happened. So this was a ride that really had to grow on me, mostly because it had big shoes to fill being the replacement for Big Bad Wolf, and Big Bad Wolf was one of my favorite coasters as a kid, a super nostalgic ride, and I was devastated when they got rid of it. So I had very high expectations as to what they were going to replace Big Bad Wolf with, and I was a little bit unfair in my judgment about Felbrolton, but once I kind of got over that little mind block, I learned to appreciate the ride and kind of enjoy it for what it is, and it is a pretty fun and solid ride. My only complaint about it as an enthusiast is that it has a little bit of a rattle to it, but it isn't that bad, but still noticeable, and for being not that old of a ride, it shouldn't have as bad of a rattle as it does. But both launches are pretty cool, the indoor part's pretty awesome, and I love the theming inside of it. Drop track is fun, and I love how at the very end of the ride it does the same layout and same drop as Big Bad Wolf did. Also, I believe the orange train has the license plate Wolf Crossing on it. And in the indoor section of the ride, I believe that there's 3 different stories that happened by random, and one of the stories is being chased by wolves. So I would say that Busch Gardens paid pretty good tribute to Big Bad Wolf overall. Alright, number 3 on the list would be Alpengeist. Isn't it April? So while this isn't my number 1 favorite B&M invert, it's definitely the most intense one that I've been on. This thing is just freaking massive. So I would say the Cobra Roll on Alpengeist is probably one of the more brutal moments on a coaster that I've personally been on. And not necessarily in a good way too, it abuses you on the Cobra Roll. Especially if you're in the back, it is jarring in the back row. But I still find this to be kind of fun. I'm always laughing like crazy when I go through the Cobra Roll, and I intentionally do back row on Alpengeist just so I can get abused on the Cobra Roll. Another pretty rough part is going into the mid-course brake run. No matter what row you're in, it's ouch. And the 0G roll and the corkscrew are pretty whippy. Not too crazy, but still pretty fun. And then the rest of the ride after the corkscrew just kind of meanders back to the station and not much more to it. I just wish that they would have made this ride a few feet taller so it would have been the world's first hyper invert coaster. I don't remember what the height is off the top of my head, I'll put it in right here, but it's only a few feet away from 200, and I just wish that they would have put it at the 200-foot mark, just so they could say that they had the first hyper invert coaster. But hey, besides that, it's still a pretty fun ride and definitely the most intense B&M invert out there. Alright, number 2 on the list will take us on a voyage to the sun on the wings of Apollo's Chariot. Okay, too bright, too bright! So this was my very first hyper coaster, and I'm sure that that was the case for many other people too, given that this was B&M's very first model of the hyper coaster. And for as old as it is, I think it's 20 years old. It either turned 20 last year or it turns 20 this year. I can't remember. If you know, comment down below and let me know. But for as old as the ride is, it's still a super smooth ride. The layout is pretty fun. You get pretty decent floater airtime on the camelbacks. The Helix, you get some force on it, but not too forceful. And the ride is kind of outdated if you compare it to some of the more modern hypers out there. So the placement is done very well. I only wish that there were a little bit more spots to kind of take photos of the ride and take video of it. It's kind of more secluded and away from any pathways in the park. But that's just me complaining as a photographer, so don't listen to me. Alright, we have come to the number 1 spot. And for the number 1 spot, we shall experience the power and speed of the mythical Griffin. Okay, I'm just going to say it. B&M dive coasters are way overhated, and honestly, I don't even know why. There's so many enthusiasts out there that absolutely hate on B&M dive coasters because I don't even know why. Coaster enthusiasts just don't seem to like B&M dive coasters, and I just simply don't agree. I think that these are phenomenal rides, and I have a blast on these things. And yeah, it may be sort of a one-trick pony, but at least there's some kind of a layout to it. It's not like you're just doing the dive and you go right into a brake run. If that was the case, then I would understand why people hate on B&M dive coasters, but none of the ones in America do that. So this is a super smooth ride. There's not a hint of a rattle anywhere in this ride. And I do love how it has the splash zone, and that's a super photogenic spot. You can get some really cool pictures and videos at that spot. And I love how you can go underneath the dive and look straight up and watch people free fall right towards you. I just love that. And while I have not ridden all the B&M dive coasters in America or in North America, I will say that this is probably the best one ever. Mostly because of the over-the-shoulder restraints. It has the old style from B&M, and it gives you much more freedom and much more airtime. Especially in the back row, going down the dive, you get some nice ejector airtime going down that hill. On both dives too, on the first big one and then the second one after the mid-course brake run. So there you have it, guys. That's how I rank the coasters at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. How would you guys rank these coasters? Comment down below, and I would love to see how you guys would rank the coasters at this park. And now with Pantheon opening up this year, hopefully. These things again. Stop it. Okay, enough. Anyway, as I was saying before I got invaded by coronavirus, how do you guys think Pantheon would rank compared to the rest of the coasters at Busch Gardens Williamsburg? Comment down below and just tell me what you guys think. Me personally, I think that Pantheon is going to be a number 1 coaster at the park. The thing just looks phenomenal, and I am super excited to ride Pantheon. Alright guys, I wrapped the video up here. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys in the next loop. See you guys.
And enjoy the rest of your day at Busch Gardens. Auf Wiedersehen!